This is True Heel Heat 15, and this is True Heel Debate of the Day. This is myself, SP3. I am with my good co-host here, Top Guy JJ, and we are here to discuss WWE SummerSlam this weekend, Barclays Center. WWE SummerSlam, I think this is their 31st edition of SummerSlam. Yeah. So many matches have happened throughout SummerSlam. Honestly, in my mind, a lot of years SummerSlam is better than WrestleMania. Because SummerSlam just has that excitement, and new people get an opportunity at SummerSlam that don't get that opportunity at WrestleMania. So it's had so many great matches, so we're here to discuss the best matches in SummerSlam history. So just off the top of your head, what would you say, like even as growing up as a kid throughout like the 80s and 90s, what was your favorite SummerSlam match that you remember?
Stands out for me, number one, growing up, definitely the match between the British Bulldog and Bret Hart. Like that was, to me, that was one, it made me a fan of Bret Hart. It made me a full-on fan of the Hitman. Like I was following him literally for the rest of his career after that, because that is when his solo career really started to go to the next level. And my God, that crowd to help that match, it was just, oh my God, that crowd was amazing. Like that's when I started to pay attention to crowds.
Yeah.
That was one amazing match. I could just keep going on and on about that match, because that match actually kind of gets me excited as I'm talking about it. So I'll bounce one off to you. So which one, what about you?
Growing up as a kid, I would say, like in my mind, Mr. SummerSlam was Bret the Hitman Hart. So I can name like the one with British Bulldog. That's definitely like top 5 SummerSlam match of all time. Mm-hmm. Even his match where he won the Intercontinental title the year before that against Mr. Perfect. But in my mind, my first memory as a kid of watching professional wrestling was actually seeing Bret the Hitman Hart versus Owen Hart inside of a steel cage at SummerSlam 1994. Yeah. 1994 SummerSlam had so much going on. You had Diesel versus Razor Ramon. You had the epic Undertaker versus Undertaker match. so much was going on, but the best pure wrestling match was Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, and it was unlike any other steel cage match that I can remember as a kid. A lot of steel cage matches had Hulk Hogan hulking up like 10 minutes in after getting beat up most of the match and getting thrown pillar to post and from cage to cage, and then he just hulks up and then he wins the match. Or I remember the old school ones where like Hogan and Orndorff both landed at the same time. Their both feet landed at the same time. But this one was about the escape, and it was all about the psychology of trying to escape more than, the hatred between the two brothers. Yeah. They were just trying to prove which one was better. So that's one that really stands out in my mind. So then you grew up like as a teenager into the adulthood. Which match stands out from that era?
I'm just gonna give a quick honorable mention to Brock versus Rock in 2003, because that was one, it was very unexpected that I thought that The Rock was just literally going to just lay down clean like that and just lose to Brock, because Brock was surprisingly just beating everyone at that time.
Yeah.
Like, and he was beating people. Like, he literally, that's what, around that time, he squeezed the life out of Hulk Hogan. Like, it was a thing to watch.
Squeezed all the blood out of him.
But I'm going to jump to a few years later into my adulthood. Probably a lot of people's going to be more familiar with this one. A match that, it wasn't the best match, but it was one of my favorite SummerSlam matches of all time, was Brock versus John Cena. Like, the abuse match, I call it.
The greatest squash match in SummerSlam history.
It was the complete introduction to Suplex City. Like, the ass whooping that John Cena took during that match, I gave all the respect in the world for him for that abuse that he took. It was 16 suplexes.
Ridiculous.
16 suplexes. Ouch. And it was pure domination. It was literally the most one-sided WWE title main event match in the history of SummerSlam. That put a big smile on my face, because Big Match John got his big ass whooped.
It was a pure and utter destruction. So you named 2 Brock Lesnar matches. So the latter years, like I said, in the early years, it was more like Bret Hart was Mr. SummerSlam. I say throughout these like latter years of SummerSlam, it's really been the Brock Lesnar,
the Brock Lesnar show.
Yeah, especially since his return, he's been like the headline.
His profile matches have been really good. Like he's had great matches against CM Punk. Even the controversial match against The Undertaker.
Yeah.
Probably one of his worst matches was the one against Randy Orton a couple of years ago. Which,
that was true.
You know, but
the Fatal 4-Way last year with Braun, Joe, and Roman Reigns was probably one of the best matches of the year.
I think if I had to call somebody Mr. SummerSlam, it would be Brock Lesnar.
Yeah.
Like it would be like his part-time and ass. You look up some of the best matches in SummerSlam history. His name is on most of them.
And we want to hear from you guys. Put in the comments section, definitely, who is your Mr. SummerSlam? So we named Bret Hart. We've named Brock Lesnar. Shawn Michaels has had many great matches.
Of course.
I mean, one of my personal favorites, especially growing up as a kid, was against Razor Ramon, the classic ladder match, the rematch from WrestleMania 10 that wasn't even supposed to happen. Mm-hmm. I think Michaels was supposed to verse Psycho Sid, and then Psycho Sid had some type of injury out of nowhere, so they just replaced that with the epic rematch. If you haven't seen that one, I feel like it's a little bit better than their match at WrestleMania 10. It's a little bit more wild, a little bit more used to like the ladder matches that we've seen nowadays.
Right.
That's what Razor and Shawn did at SummerSlam 1995. But my personal favorite, my number one best match in SummerSlam history is the Heartbreak Kid Shawn Michaels returning in 2002 to verse Triple H in a street fight. SummerSlam 2002,
incredible.
In my eyes, is the best SummerSlam ever. You had Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Angle in the best SummerSlam opener of all time. You had Edge versus Eddie Guerrero. You had Test versus The Undertaker. This is back when Test was really getting his big push. You had Rob Van Dam versus Chris Benoit. You had Ric Flair versus Chris Jericho. Rock versus Brock that you just mentioned. And Shawn Michaels versus Shawn Michaels versus Triple H was the best match on that entire
That match was unsanctioned.
Unsanctioned match. The whole story with Michaels coming back and bringing Triple H over to Monday Night Raw, Triple H turning on him on the DX reunion, and then attacking him backstage. That whole story was amazing. The build-up was great, and the match was intense, physical, and then the ending with Triple H hitting him in the back with the sledgehammer. I'll never forget that match.
Yeah, Triple H and Shawn Michaels rivalry was probably one if not top 3 WWE's best told stories of all time. That thing had you gripped. Yeah. Like, you really thought these two had the best friendship and they couldn't stand each other. Like, that's when kayfabe was so alive and well. Like, it was great. If you missed that time frame in wrestling, I feel sorry for you, because the shit that you're getting now, okay, yeah, have fun with that, guys.
It's like, yeah.
Have fun with that, guys.
So what would you say, out of everything, what is your best SummerSlam match or the greatest SummerSlam match that you've ever seen?
I'm gonna be a little on the personal biased side because I seen this match live, and without his interruption, without that one interruption, one of my favorite going is Seth Rollins versus John Cena. Like, that to me was John Cena's best WWE match, aside from the 60-minute Iron Man match that he had with, I believe it was Shawn Michaels, right?
57 minutes.
57 minutes, the one on Raw. Yeah, that was John Cena's probably best performance, period. Like, to me, it's just my opinion about it, and that showed the world why Seth Rollins was the man. Like, it finally showcased him as one of the greatest wrestlers and not him being a bitch of a champion, because most of his title run was a coward run. It was a real bad run. It was a really bad run. But that match, for those first, that match was, if I'm just saying the match was 24 minutes, that 23-minute window before that last minute was two of their greatest performances ever. And the fact of seeing that match live had the crowd on their feet. Every move, we bought into every move. It was an incredible environment to be in. It was a hell of a freaking match, not counting that last 30 seconds.
Not counting the Jon Stewart interruption. So we want to hear from you guys. Please put in the comment section. Press that like button. Press that comment button. Put your favorite SummerSlam matches that you ever seen. My personal top 5, like I said, was HBK and Triple H number 1. Number 2, TLC number 1 from 2000. Brett versus Bulldog that we mentioned before. Brett versus Owen from 94. And Cena versus AJ Styles from 2016. So if you want to build up to your SummerSlam weekend, watch those matches, watch it back. Put in the comment section your favorite SummerSlam match of all time. Your Mr. SummerSlam. Put in the comment section. Press that subscribe button. Press that alert button for more True Heel Heat videos. SP3, Top Guy JJ. This is True Heel Heat 15, and we're out.